could have given up, but you didn't. You could have stopped believing, but you didn't. You could have kept living their expectations, but you decided to make this life your own. And in turn, you're here. Hello everyone, today we're meeting Kristen Crockett. She is intuitive leadership coach and facilitator. Hello Kristen, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Anna. It's great to be here.
Thank you. So let's start our conversation by diving into your journey of becoming the person you are today. What led you to discover your true passion in life? How did it start for you?
Ooh, let's see. I think for me, I started off as an attorney and just really unhappy. And I finally, I started realizing that everybody else, all of the other attorneys were really unhappy as well. And that kind of led me to my path of trying to figure out exactly what it is that I wanted to do. So I went through a whole journey of film school and working in learning development and working in education. A lot of things led me to working with leaders in the workplace. And that's when I started to understand that I had this gift for understanding what people's strengths were. So like they may not be able to understand their strengths, but I could see those things. And in addition to that, the work that I was doing with them just around leadership, we started to talk about personal information, because your personal lives leak in. And so that's when I started to really understand that I was interested in working with the whole person versus just one aspect of them. And so that's kind of my journey.
Wow, yeah, definitely. And we should look at it from the holistic approach. So it's not just one thing that needs to be fixed, but really is the person that you are with everything that you've been through. And a lot of times we don't know what our strengths are. And, with somebody really providing us that space where we can see and reflect back and kind of understand I think first step is awareness, to know where we're at and what should be done for us to move forward. What are the blocks that really holding us back and not giving us the chance to proceed to the direction that we are going. And first of all, also knowing this direction, what is the vision for our life, right? A lot of people, they don't know what they do, why they do what they do, and what do they want to create in their life. And also understanding that we are responsible for creating this life for ourselves is the big, I guess, mindset shift, because a lot of times we are becoming a victim to, saying that it's because of this certain person or circumstances that we're not achieving what we want in life. But really is coming back to understanding that we are the ones that has the power to create what we want. But I know that it takes time and a lot of different tools and practitioners out there that help us to realize that. But what would you say could be the practices or maybe habits that we can start with in order to become aware of that negative thinking pattern that might be holding us back, even from asking for help to go into that next level?
Yeah, so I think there's a certain level of awareness, and I agree with everything that you said, but it starts with really truly understanding, when we talk about mindset, I think that's the key to everything. So in mindset, it's understanding what about your career? What about money? What about love or relationships? What about, work? What are the things that you were taught? So the phrases, the words that people taught you, that you really are still holding on to. So for example, if you think that money is the root of all evil, that's going to really transfer into asking for or negotiating your salary in the workplace, right? If you really think that you can't do what you love and be happy, then that's going to really impact what jobs that you look out for, which jobs you apply for. So it's really starting with understanding your basic belief system about certain aspects and topics so that you can really start to see like what are the things that you really truly believe so that you can begin to be aware of them. And then also that's the next step is releasing them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all the belief system that install, or maybe we've been conditioned to think a certain way, it comes from the childhood or people we're hanging out around. So it's just like we absorb that and we took it as a truth, and now we live that truth. But again, it's like in our subconscious running our life, really the reason why we making certain decisions in life, and we don't really realize that. But we need to understand, like you said, what are the beliefs that really is the foundation of what we have right now. And again, what we have is the result of our own choices based on the beliefs that we have, right? So what is it that we created, and how can we release that? What would you say would help people to really like become detached from certain beliefs that they still feel like they have emotional attachment to, and to know that it's not something to feel guilty about, right? But it really like serves them. Maybe it served them at a certain point in life where they acquired that belief, but now it's the time to let it go. What would be the process of shifting that mindset?
So I think awareness is the very first step, just being aware of the beliefs that you have about a specific topic. And then next, it's where do you want to go? What's your goal? And, so starting to understand a little bit, or the connection with, number one, where these beliefs came from, what are the experiences that really created these beliefs? And then next, where is it that you want? What's your goal? Because what's the mindset that you really need to achieve to get to that goal? So I think it's connecting all of those dots that help you to begin to understand that, wow, I am going to need to release this because it's not going to allow me to get to this next level, or whether that's leadership or relationships or any aspect of your life. I think that awareness is super essential. And I think it also starts with a lot of these beliefs start with, or your mindset starts with believing that you don't deserve certain things, or that you don't deserve love, or that you're not worthy of happiness or joy, things like that. So it's really examining what you really truly believe you are worthy of, and deserving. And I think that's where it all begins so that you can release those.
Definitely. And we also, again, I think it's like a condition in the society where we trying to prove our worthiness through, doing something or achieving certain, I don't know, like something in life that we work for it or we study for it. And this is one thing that I need in order to prove that I'm worthy. But it's a very twisted belief that a lot of people have, and they think it's normal. But again, like just realizing that I don't need to prove my worthiness to anybody. And all of us just need to understand that we are here for a reason, for a purpose. If we are here, that means I'm worthy of being just here. And I don't need to prove it to anybody. And to really like accepting that as just something that, will set you free from making those decisions in life, and where you don't need to, first of all, like looking at other people's opinion of you and what they expecting for you to be and like to perform at certain level, but rather focusing on what you want and what is it that you want to create and what will help you to achieve those goals. And I think we just need to be mindful of, not being distracted with what really like doesn't serve us, but being focused on what we want in life and knowing that we are worthy of just being here. Don't you think?
Yes, but I think that that's difficult for a lot of people to just say all of a sudden, like, oh, I'm worthy. So I think it does take time. Any shift is going to take time. And sometimes, for one person, it might take weeks, it might take days, it might take months for someone else, it might take years for someone else. I think that, wanting to please other people is such a normal thing. That's how we're conditioned. Unfortunately, that's how we're conditioned. And I think it is definitely normal for people to feel that way, that they have to please. However, I'm in agreement that eventually you get to a point where you realize that when you are doing the things that fill you up, when you are happy, when you feel joy inside, that is when everything else kicks in around you. So when you're lit up, other people around you are lit up as well. So I think for a lot of people, it's understanding, what is that thing for you? What makes you happy versus your parents, versus your siblings, your friends, your family? And that's difficult because we do tend to be conditioned to really want what our parents want. We want to make them proud, or our caretakers. We want to make them proud. And I think it's a journey to find out what makes you happy so that worth can come from within.
Yes, definitely. And also, I think we need to understand that if we are like have some kind of vision in our life and we know what we want, if we discovered what gives us joy and fulfillment, we should not be pressured by time, but also knowing that it will require us to stay committed to that process and to just take consistent steps towards it. And I think the key is the consistency and not expect an overnight result, because we also look at social media and we kind of like compare ourselves to other people.
Definitely.
And that really throws us off of the right track, and we feel discouraged in some way, like we're feeling incapable of doing something, but we don't realize that this is what we see, maybe even not true, or even if it's true, it could be the result of the work that this person put in behind the scenes that we don't see what is required for that person to achieve that success. And it also should be an evidence for us to know that we also can do it too, but we for some reason internalize it in like being harsh on ourselves. But I think with knowing that it will take time, but for different people it's a different timeline, and we don't need to really like compare, but rather focus on the joy that we receive and how we are enjoying that process and knowing what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that definitely comparing ourselves to other people is not fair to them. It's also not fair to us. I had a woman, chase me down on the street and say, like, what is your skincare routine? What do you do? And she was very disappointed when I was like, I use soap. And that's it. Because, for some people, whether we're talking about skin or we're talking about health or weight or whatever it is, or certain strengths, they can come naturally. This is, my mom has great skin. My grandmother has great skin. But for other people, it's something that they have to work at. And I think that goes for every single thing that we do. We're constantly comparing ourselves to other people who might do something so easily, so naturally. They wake up and it's very easy for them. But for us, it might take a lot of hard work to do that. So that's why I really believe that people should find out what their strengths are. What are they great at? So that when you are, progressing, it's easy, because that's what strengths are. They come easy to us. And so a lot of times we think that we have to work at something for it to be a strength, but no, your strengths should come easy. They should be what you just wake up and you just do.
Mm-hmm. And like, I know you're also working with the teams and leaders, in different industries. And yeah, really, like, I think when you in that zone of genius, right? When you're doing something that you love, it doesn't feel like you're working really, and time just disappears and everything starts, like it's just a feeling that, it's the right, I guess, area for you to really focus on. This is what you're good at, and this is also what gives you that fulfillment. And the more we find ourselves in those places where we can be at our best and give our best to others, I think we will impact more people, and it would be just a more efficient way to kind of like leave that legacy in that term, once we figure out what that is. But the thing is, like, people, a lot of times they get lost and they don't know what is it that will help them to discover that type of joy or fulfillment. What do you think would be like the practice or the mindful technique that will help them to focus on maybe like trying something new or discovering what is it that brings them this type of feeling, so they can explore it in more detail and know for themselves that maybe I should focus my attention into growing that?
Yeah, I think it's really just trying it. That's it. There's no simple way. It's really just action, right? So I believe that when we have anxiety around what should I be doing, that action is the quickest way to dissolve anxiety. Because once you do something and you try it, you automatically know, like, oh, I really like this, or this just doesn't feel right to me, or maybe I should give this a little bit of a try. We know that immediately. And if that is not for you, try something else. It's trial and error is really, it's the shortcut to finding out who we are. It really is. It cannot be what someone else likes. It really has to be what fills us up. And I think that's the thing, is that we spend so much time with showing attention or turning our attention outward, that we don't spend enough time thinking about what really is making us happy. And I think that is that step. Look, try something new. You hear about a new place, try that. See if that fills you up, right? So really looking at just trial and error. That's it.
Yes, definitely. And we also have to, I think it's important to prioritize our mental and physical health enough to give ourselves this time. Because sometimes we'll focus on serving others and we don't give ourselves that time for self-care, self-love, and ways to discover what is it that we'll like doing, right? We, for some reason, putting that off as something that's not a priority, which should be the other way around. We should really schedule our time, consistently, with giving ourselves that time where we discover, and this is something that could lead to maybe starting a new business or maybe a new hobby, anything that will unravel along the way. It's because you prioritize that time and you give yourself really enough time to discover what is it that you love. And also, I think like you said, anxiety is something that really, like, in our society, everybody experiences stress, anxiety, or some kind of like sadness or depression, and they feel like they overwhelmed and like burnt out at their job, and really like they don't have enough energy to do anything. And I think with us first giving ourselves time to relax and recharge and finding the way to fill that cup is just the foundation, and it has to be incorporated in daily life, where we know that we have to be the one that caring about ourselves, because usually nobody else will come and save you. You have to be the one, right? And you have to discover it for yourself. Sometimes some kind of like unfortunate event happen, and people's like when you hear stories that they had no other choice but now like look for themselves. But what if we integrate it as something that is normal, that we should do? And I think it will give us more of a perspective of what is important and where we should focus on. Don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that for everything that I do, self-care is a part of it. And it's really creating sacred boundaries around what you love. So finding out what are those practices that you absolutely love? Because for some people, meditation might be that thing, but for others, meditation doesn't work for them. So they have to figure out what works for them. Maybe it's nature walks, right? Maybe it is literally just disconnecting and watching television. Maybe it is going out to lunch with a friend, right? So, but ultimately it's about disconnecting from our lives in whatever way works for us. And then also creating that space where we can just have space to expand. That's it. So it could be in the shower. It could be on vacation. It could be taking a walk. But just kind of like when you're just focused on work all of the time, it doesn't allow our brain to just think about other avenues, other ways of doing things. And so I definitely think that creating sacred time for things that you love and around things that you love are really a way that we can enhance self-care.
Yes, definitely. And for, some people, it's hard to kind of like navigate where should I block that time for myself. They work in 9 to 5, and like there's always some type of excuses that come their way why they cannot do it. But I think like maybe start to put it into your schedule, even like 20-30 minutes a day doing something. It will be the start, and then you will see how you feel. And I also believe there are different ways of for different people to discover what they like. So it shouldn't be like one way approach, because we're all different, and it's okay. It's just you have to try and see what works for you. But I think stress is the main factor. It's like a common denominator. If you see, if stress comes your way, then like you not really at your best. You can perform well. Like you are very I would say like limited in what you can create or what you can do. So you have to find a way to de-stress yourself, whatever that is, because when you're in that creative mode, or when you're doing something you love, you don't feel that stress. And that's again, it's just something that you should be looking into. And I would like you to tell us more about the coaching practice that you do. You're intuitive leadership coach and facilitator. Is there a certain approach, or like, so what kind of like programs you offer, and how you working with people, individuals and businesses to help them to go to that next level?
Yeah, so I work with individuals one-on-one. In addition to that, I work with teams, and then also organizations. So I get called in to do sessions with teams or organizations. And that could be anything from leading with empathy, to understanding how to implement change throughout your environment. And then in addition to that, I do one-on-one intuitive executive coaching with people. And those tend to be leaders who are really interested in either they are an executive and they are just understanding that they're overwhelmed, and they're trying to think about like, they just get to a point where they just can't do it on their own, and they are looking for a partner, and they've normally done everything on their own their whole life, but they realize that they've gotten to a point that they want to make it to a different level. They want to experience more of something, more joy, more happiness, less stress. And that is when people come and find their way to me. In addition to that, I also do run group coaching programs. So I do run a year-long program for leaders of color who are growing, that want to be grown into the executive suite. And then I do have another program that's a 12-week program called Expand and Lead for leaders that want to also grow into executive leaders as well. So that's a little bit of everything I do, but basically everything that I do has a few basic pieces of the recipe. The first thing is we talk about emotional intelligence, right? So we talk about how you navigate your emotions, how you impact people, and your triggers. We talk about all of that. We also, because I'm an intuitive leadership coach, we also talk about human design. So understanding how your energy really impacts you, how to best utilize your energy in your work, in your relationship, in your life. And it's really ultimately getting people to trust themselves in their decision making, so that they can stop overthinking and experience less anxiety in their lives. So I am that partner. I am that guy to take either teams or people, where they want to go, expanding and leading, but starting from within.
Yes, everything starts from within, and you mentioned the emotional intelligence. I think it's a very important aspect for us to really like process those different emotions that come up. And the more we suppress them, the more we ignore them. I think it's just eventually we discover that it's kind of fires back and we are experiencing some kind of like burnout or some kind of stress again, because we're not taught how to process these emotions on a daily basis and how we can just let something go and let it through us. Because a lot of times we also look into some addictions that out there, substances, or even like food, or consuming social media, any type of distraction that
Or working.
yeah, and it's like a temporary fix, but this problem is still there, and we still have to find a way to release and let go. And how can we, if we don't know what to do, or we trying to escape it? I think the way to heal is to feel. So first we need to, find a way how to heal ourselves, and with that kind of like understanding and process of healing, we can start building our life again, like something that we know that we can be who we want to be, and with better emotional place that we're in, then we have more space to invite something in our life that we are really deserve of, and I think with practices and practitioners out there, like your practice as well, it's helping people to really discover themselves first and find the ways to heal and release what really has been stuck for years, and not allowing them to grow into the leaders that they are. And I believe a lot of people, they just born to be leaders, they just don't know about it, they don't know about the power that they hold inside, and they need to rediscover that. And and I think it's just could be the really like turning point in their life, to know what they can do. And that's something I believe like everybody should be mindful of, is how you can help yourself first, and what is it that you need to invest in your own personal development, what is it that working for you. And from now on, like we can just like move forward. And I'm so glad that you shared what is it that you practice, and what are the ways that people can connect. If you can just share where they can find you online, also, so I can include in the show notes.
Absolutely. So my website, kristencrockett.com. I'm also extremely active on LinkedIn and Instagram as well.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, so people would know how to find you. And as we close today, what would be the thought for today for our listeners?
I think it's really understanding that you are the driver of your entire life. And so I have one tip for you, which is literally just responding to what fills you up. And that is where you're going to find your strengths. Your passion is going to drive you in that direction. Really starting to listen to what makes you feel like you have swallowed sunshine.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and wisdom. I hope you enjoy your day.
Thank you, Anna. Great to be here.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and if you did, hit the subscribe button and share it with others. Stay tuned.